Welcome to Cities Untold Lowtown. I'm Nate, and I'm going to give you a hands-on demonstration of our new urban elevation system. Let's dive in and take a look. Everything you're about to see are handmade prototypes cast in-house in resin. They are often imperfect or even unfinished. The versions you'll receive will be factory finished in dwarvenite and will be much more precise and consistent. Viewer discretion is advised. First, let's look at all the individual pieces that make up this system. Here we have the 25mm cobblestone riser. So this has a 1 inch by 1 inch footprint, and it's exactly 1 inch high. So it's a 1 by 1 by 1 cube. It has the cobblestone texture on the top. This cobblestone square pattern will repeat throughout the rest of the system. It has a biscuit slot on either side. These sides are solid, and it'll have a factory finished bottom with an anchor magnet on the bottom, so it'll stick to our terrain trays. Next, we have the 2x2 cobblestone riser. So this has a 2 inch by 2 inch footprint, and it's 1 inch high, same as the 25mm riser. It has an archway all the way through this side, and then it has biscuit slots here and here on the other two sides. It'll also have a factory finished bottom that'll have an anchor magnet on their place. This is the half arch. So this has a 2 inch by 1 inch footprint on the top. The bottom is 2 inches by half an inch. It's exactly 2 inches high, the height of two of these. It has a biscuit slot on the back and on the front, as well as this groove. And generally, it will be used in pairs with a biscuit holding them together to make full arches. You can also use them back to back. You can also use them singular. We'll walk through a bunch of the ways that this thing works. This is the 2 by 1 cobblestone stair. It has a 2 inch by 1 inch footprint and goes up exactly 1 inch there. It has a factory finished bottom with an anchor magnet on there and no biscuit slots in this guy. This is the cobblestone ramp. It's 2 inches this direction, and it's about 1.5 inches, 1 5/8 this direction. It's kind of a strange length because of the diagonal. The hypotenuse needs to go up a certain amount of rise. It has a biscuit slot on the back. It'll have an anchor magnet on the bottom, and it has that cobblestone texture on the top. And this side is exactly the height of a floor, so you can use it to transition up 1 floor height. Good for transitioning into buildings or to cobblestone floors and the like. The companion piece for that is the cobblestone ramp extension. So this has a 2 inch by 2 inch footprint. The front side is 1 floor's height, so it lines up with this or with a floor. And the back side is 1 inch high, so that lines up with our other 1 inch rise pieces. It'll have a biscuit slot on the big side, biscuit slot on the small side, and it'll have a factory finished bottom with an anchor magnet on there. We have the seawall. So this one is a very interesting collection of geometry. It is 38mm high, which is just about the height of a 1 inch and a floor, about 1 millimeter higher. It has 4 inches lengthwise, and it's about 1 5/8 this way. So it's 1 inch from here to here, and it's 1 inch from here to here with overlap in the middle. These projections both go up 1 inch, so they'll line up with the rest of this system. On the front, these two little bastions, they have pole accessory holes in them, so you could decorate it up with pole accessories if you want. There's exactly 2 inches between those, so you can slide in any of our 2 inch pieces there. The backside, the sewer grade entrance has a biscuit slot there, and this will be factory finished on the bottom with an anchor magnet to hold it in place. This plays really nicely with our terrain trays and battle boards. We'll show that off shortly. And then last, not officially part of the system, but we use it all the time with it. This is the 2x2 cobblestone floor. Same pattern, the cobblestone pattern permeates all these pieces. So this thing plays really nicely with it, beneath it, above it, and around it. So we'll be using this a bunch with the rest of the system. So now let's take a look at how these pieces work together. So at the basic level, we're going to use these pieces to elevate things up, generally at 1 inch or 2 inch increments. You can just put any sort of platform out there, put some stairs up to it, and you have a little raised platform, right? So you can use this as like a little thing for town square. You could put maybe 2 of these side by side, put some stairs up on either side, and a little place for the town crier. Maybe you want to put a statue on there, stage as a thing. So you can make any sort of variety of platforms using the 2x2 risers and some stairs. You can pepper around the 25 millimeters if you want, something like that. Lots of neat options. This would make a really neat entrance to your big municipal building or something. You can put a building there, something like that. If you want worried about getting up the steps, you can put a ramp on there, something like that. You can also, if you want to go up higher, you can take a couple of the 1 inch risers and run the stairs up straight like that. You can put a break in the middle if you want with the 1 inch like that, or you could space it out, something like that. Just space that guy out like this. And then if you need to go up higher, just add more of these. If you want to do a switchback, because that always looks really neat, you can take the same couple of pieces, stairs going like this, and that lines you up with the same height as the building, so you can get your second story building up there. Boom, boom, boom. If you want to go while you're going up 2 inches, if you want, you can put a couple of these half arches together. You can put something solid like that, and then put maybe 2 double stairs on it, side by side. Put a couple of these like this, just like that. You can also have the stairs spill out, go every direction. It's basically just like playing with blocks when you were a kid. If you want to get even more fun, you can take, when you have a pair of these half arches together, the 2 grooves in there line up such that you can slot in any of the narrow walls from the City Village system. So you could put a solid in there, or if you want to give access, you could put a door wall in there. Now you have a door, so you could have that line up. You have this door line up with that door, and that could be a first floor entrance, and this comes up, and there's a more grand entrance up here. So lots of ways to sort of transition up and then build it. Everything will be on that same 2 inch or 1 inch increment that you're building up on. The other way to transition up is using the ramps. All right, so the base level, those guys fit together and then go up to 1 inch. Let's say you wanted to transition down to wilderness or to water or something. You could use some of your cobblestone pieces and then use the ramps to transition you down to train tray height or to table height, whatnot. And then if you want to go build in line, you can use the extension to then transition up if you want to go to a 2 inch height, like that. So that measure, you can then, if you can keep continuing it if you want, you can go up, put another ramp in line, and go here and put a cobblestone floor, and continue like that. Or if you want to see the arch, you can swap it around, so like that. And then if you wanted to continue, you could keep going up, and at that point you get up to 2 inch height. You can also make this look solid if you want the solid side out. So you can just keep going these ramps and just go up forever. You can also put the stairs side by side with the ramps. So if you wanted to make a causeway for the, maybe this is for the carts are going to go up here, and then pedestrians would walk off to the side. Like you could have another Get a little run for the pedestrians there, something like that. There are these little ramps between the combination of the extension and the little one. You can go sort of any different height elevation that you want to get to. Now let's look at the seawalls. So the seawalls really shine when you use them to elevate up to a terrain tray or a battle board or some sculpted ground. Let's say we had some water and we wanted to transition up. We could put these, we can choose whichever face. Let's put the bastions out like that. 2 bastions, 1 sewer grate. I'm going to take the 25 millimeter risers, bring back here. I'm going to drop a battle board on here. So this looks particularly good with the sculpted texture cobblestone battle board because it's continuous. They're all used in the build, so we're about to show you. So we'll show it with one of our older forest battle boards. But from here, you could then build online, use this as a base to build anything. It's supported by the 25 millimeter risers in the back and the it's holding on these raised bits on the front here. You could also use the same technique with the terrain tray, and then use this to put your sculpted ground on, right? So we could start building sculpted ground, pave this whole thing out. If you want to build inline, you put your buildings inline, something like that. It looks really smooth and continuous. It also looks fantastic if you do this with our original streets. So you could lay down to our streets there and get to everything in line. You have a really nice surface to build on, and that transitions you down to water or to ground or whatever you want to put on the other layer down there. You can also use these seawalls as a base for a building. So let's say we wanted to put a little watchtower out in the water, right? A little lighthouse or a guard post or something. You can put these in a square and then drop a base of a building in there. And then put a thing, and now boom, you have a little watchtower out on the water. If you want to run to it, you can make a little causeway that leads out to it with something like such, or even you could pave it out with cobblestones if you want to go across, something like that. So now let's take a look at all of these techniques in a couple of actual builds. So this first sample build is a 2-foot by 2-foot build that it's a little village outside like a raised fortified area. Down here we have, we're using the sculpted packed earth tiles, and up here we have the sculpted texture cobblestone battle board up here. So we have, it's our base to work from. Over here we're illustrating how you can use elevation just to change the look of things. So we have 3 identical cottages here, right? It's the same walls, floors, doors, roofs, and we've given them a little bit of variation using height. So this one is built inline. This one is built scatter style, right on top of the sculpted ground. And this one in the back is built on 4 of the 2x2 cobblestone risers. And in the front it has the stairs and a 25 millimeter riser is a little entryway. So just by changing the height, you get some visual variation. If you wanted to go further, you could rotate them around a little bit and get even more variance. But just by having these different heights, they feel different, right? If you put the same thing next to each other, right, you get nice variety just by having this thing be up 1 inch. And you could go then continue this by having another one build the 2x2s on top of the sculpted ground and go up even further for some nice visual variation. Over here, we have a little like town square raised area built using 4 of the 2x2s and 4 of the stairs. We've put, this is the fountain from our illuminated LED floor pack from the castle line. Pop in there, but you could put anything you want in there. You could put a statue, you could put a bunch of minis, you could put a gallows, put anything there. It's a neat little platform you could do anywhere. You could also build something like this in your dungeon. You could build something in the wilderness. It's sort of a raised area to put some important visual piece of interest, right? A MacGuffin platform, as it were. Back here, we're using the seawalls to transition from the sculpted cobblestone ground down to the sculpted dirt ground. So we just have, they're built right on top of the sculpted ground with the, this is a battle board, the sculpted texture cobblestone battle board right on top of the seawalls, and it's got the 25 millimeter cobblestone risers in the back holding up the back line. We'll flip that around in a sec so you can see how it works there. And then to transition up in height, let's get this out of the way so we can see what we're doing. So to transition up in height, we're using a series of the ramps. So this is the cobblestone ramp, tip at the bottom into the extension, and these are built right on top of the sculpting ground. Then we have a this is the 2x2 riser built. We took the sculpted ground out and built this right down table level, so that's only raising up one floor height, and then that feeds into, this is the half arches there to get us up to the full 2 inch. So that built in line with the seawalls on top of the sculpted ground gets everything up to 2 inches clean, and then we can use these the ramp pieces to get a nice smooth way up there. So this is how you can take your your carts up to the market or whatever. And this would be a kind of a neat, if it's a small city gate or something, it could be the area the players are trying to figure out how would you get in something like this, and you have a couple of different ways in and some elevation for visual variety and challenge, make it even harder to get up high. So then this gate area here, this is made using two of the half arches with the 2x2 cobblestone floor in between. That's got the little gargoyle biscuit hole filler in there. And then we're using the new lion portcullis arch in there, using the same grooves that let us put a narrow wall in. If you have a 2 inch floor in there, you can then fit a full size wall in there. So that makes a really neat sort of smaller gate, and this would be a fun way for the players to explore, try and get through. So another options for making gateways for your city or your castle or the like. Now over here we have we're doing a little wraparound staircase here using the 1 inch, the little 25 millimeter risers and the stairs, and that comes around. We'll flip this thing around so you can see see it from the backside in a moment. And then over here, we're using the biscuit slot in the seawall to take the 25 millimeter stairs from the scaffolding and biscuit that right on to transition us up. And then we have that feeding into the small stone stairs. So you can use these biscuit slots, and these mix, all this elevation mixes really well with stuff like the scaffolding. And we'll show that in the other Build a Bunch. Let's spin this thing around and look at the other side now. All right, so we spun this thing around so you can see the back, see a couple of the other techniques. So first you can see the battle board here is on the projections on the back of the seawall, and then over here we've got the 25 millimeter cobblestone risers that's holding that whole thing up. So this whole thing is essentially hollow under there. It's just getting us lifted, so we have some interesting elevation to work with. Over here, we're biscuiting the 25 millimeter wooden stairs from the scaffolding system right into the 2x2. So you can, these biscuit holes, you can just pop anything in there, right? And then that feeds up to another one of these 2x2s, which is then we've got 38 millimeter stairs biscuited into the side of this building, getting us into the building. So you can use these for there's a landing between rises between the stairs. This is the back of that arch, the entry gate, using the two half arches and the 2x2 cobblestone there with, it's got some of the rampart crenellations just on top to make it feel fortified. We're feeding this with the stairs coming up with a couple of 25 millimeter risers into a pair of the half arches. And we could put a solid wall in there if we want, or a door. Right now we just left it open. It's like a little nook, an assassin's nook or something. You could put somebody in there. It also shows on the side here we're using the freestanding ivy. The ivy looks really nice up against this stuff, helps make it feel integrated into the ground if you're using it on dry ground. So then we're transitioning up from this to the battlements, just using a little small steps. And we just have battlements on top of this, and that's one continuous run up here. And then the last bit we're showing off over here is this little run over here. So we're taking a building. The first floor is built in line, second floor built right on top of it, and then has the bay window on it with a door in it. And then we've taken two of the half arches and put them back to back biscuited them together back to back, and then biscuited those to the front of the bay window here, so this little door comes right out to it. And then using the biscuits, we're attaching the 4-inch scaffolding platform there, biscuited there, onto one of the awning pieces, which serves as a ramp. So that's getting us from here, a nice long bridge. And you could do big long runs of this or whatever you want to do, a big long bridge of that. You could also put some railings on this if you wanted to. And that connects us up to this upper level. So a bunch of techniques using dry land. Now let's look at some techniques using water terrain trays and using the arches, urban elevation with some water. All right, so this sample build is an example of how we can use the urban elevation bits in a water-based environment. So we have 3 of our new shoreline terrain trays as a base and one of our sculpted texture cobblestone battle boards up here. This is a draft of the forthcoming Wharf Watch district. The final will be a little different than this. We're still working it out, but this will give you a little preview of what's to come. Let's start over here. So right out of the gate, we have some docks in the high mode right on top of the seawall, feeding onto a floor here. So we actually have, pop this roof off so we can see what we're doing. This sort of raised area where you can keep some dry cargo or whatnot is just using, it's using one of the fieldstone floors on 3 of the seawalls, and then the back is sealed up using a couple of the 25 millimeter cobblestone risers and a 2x2 cobblestone riser, and then the ramp transitions this up. And you could put a wood thing in here or anything you want, but it's a nice example of seawalls holding up a floor, and that flows into it cleanly. Over here, we have the scaffolding platform as a dock, biscuited right into the side of the seawall. We're transitioning up using the awning top, but we can use you can use one of these, the stone cobblestone ramps instead if you wanted. For a variety, we have this here, and then this feeds around into, it's biscuited into the side of another 2x2 cobblestone riser, and then a ramp. So I don't know why you would actually build a ramp into the ocean. I guess you need drag a boat up there or something. Just showing how they can all connect beyonder. And then over here, we're taking the 25 millimeter cobblestone risers and biscuiting the narrow scaffolding plank between them. And then I can have some stairs down into the water. And then that biscuits to the 38 millimeter stairs going up to a 2-inch piece. And this is actually sitting on top of the seawall also. So we're utilizing the different heights of the seawall and these risers to connect scaffolding. The scaffolding plays really nicely with the urban elevation system. So then past the building over here, we have scaffolding feeding into, it's just resting up against, this is a pair of the 2x1 stairs side by side to make a big 2-inch wide staircase getting us up to this height. And this is scaffolding with the footers under there. Same gets us once again to the same height. You should be able to get to pretty much any height you need using the urban elevation system. The battle board is just on, it's on 6 of these seawalls on the front edge, and then it's got a couple of the 25 millimeter risers in the back holding it up to loft that whole thing. So then around back here, we're using the ramps to make an L-shaped rise. So we've got the regular cobblestone ramp here feeding into a 2x2 floor, which gets us up to this door, and then this is the extension ramp, and that feeds us up this door. So nice and clean, kind of lets you get up to any height you need. Over here, we've got a pair of the half arches with a 2x2 cobblestone floor between them, and then that has the stone double doors in there, and that's like sort of a warehouse entrance or something to the bottom of this building. And in fact, what's kind of neat here is the back of this building. So we have the 2 half arches in the cobblestone floor, and then it's up against a 2x4 fieldstone floor with the walls, and this has got double doors here. So there's double doors on both sides. So this makes a perfect 4x4 foundation for this building. So you can interweave the 2-inch high bits with any of the city walls. You know, a building is 2 inches high, so you can mix and match them as you need. Over here, we have a causeway. We've got the ramp feeding us up to the top of it. We've got the half arches here, and they've got a solid narrow wall in there. And then the half arches with the 2-inch cobblestone street there, and we could biscuit this whole thing together for security if we wanted to. We have the lion portcullis arches flipped around with nothing in there, so you could just go through. You could also just pull it out and make it like a clean, right? If you wanted to just have it be inviting for little like gondolas to go through or something, you could do that. And then we have 2 more half arches turned sideways this time so they feel solid, and then the last one here turned sideways, and this has a little narrow wall in there sealing it off, and we're using the ivy again to transition really nicely up, makes it feel like it's seaweed coming out into the ocean. In the back here, we're using the seawalls as a base for this, but we have it right on top of the seawalls. So this is built right up on the top surface of the seawalls, so it lines up, the floor lines up, the top of the floor lines up with the top of this elevation. So it's yet a different height variation we have. The sides of the building here helps it feel all tied in. And then finally, over here, we're using the 25 millimeter risers into the 2x2s, and then we biscuited scaffolding platform in line, so you have water in there. And you could just use more of them, or you could put longer ones. Lots of options. You can mix and match the scaffolding and the risers really easily, and that feeds us back to this platform. So hopefully this will give you an idea of some of the ways you can use the urban elevation in a water-based area. And that's everything you need to know about our new urban elevation system. Hopefully this will give you a bunch of ideas of the things you can do with these brand new pieces. For more information, check out our Cities Untold Lowtown playlist, linked below, or visit our Cities Untold microsite, also linked below. And remember, the Pledge Manager opens May 2nd. If you missed out on the campaign, check out the microsite, linked below, for information on late pledging. Thank you so much for watching, and now it's back to the end. Woo!